Thank you very much for staying with us. Now let's bring in some political developments. The Minister of Labour, Mohammed Dingyagi, is appealing to the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives to suspend their ongoing strike in the interest of Nigeria, saying that is not the best solution to disputes. The minister urged the association to embrace dialogue while the government continues to work on addressing their concerns. Head of Press and Public Relations in the ministry, Patience Onoha, in a statement said the minister held a meeting with the association on Tuesday in a bid to stop the ongoing industrial action, adding that the meeting will continue on Friday at the Ministry of Health as the government works out a resolution to the dispute. The union is demanding improved welfare, fair allowances, and better working conditions for nurses across federal health institutions. The aftermath of the recent devastating flood in Yola South local government area of Adamawa State continues to raise concerns. The residents of affected communities pointing fingers at a mining site dam located at Uki Hills in neighboring Fufure local government as the cause. Some community members believe the disaster wasn't entirely natural, and many allege that a dam built at a mining site atop the hills gave way, triggering the flood. In response to the growing concern and to ascertain the facts, Governor Maro Fintiri visited the alleged source of the flood, the dam within a mining concession in Fufure. The dam, operated by a private mining company, is relatively small in capacity. Experts in the governor's entourage describe it as a collective, or rather a collection pond, rather than a full-scale reservoir.
As you can see, we have two different discharges. One is an emergency, and temporarily this is what we are using for the time being before we can create a more comprehensive spillway.
This is a licensed mining site. It's not illegal. We were here on a Saturday before the flood. Where you saw us now standing, it was the same thing. We came again after the flood. It is still the same thing. If it is a flood, the whole of this list we have completely gone.
Potentially, if not properly handled, perhaps with more rainfalls, it could be a threat. But at the moment, and with the past flood, this place was safe.
I think even in the next 10 years, with the water level we have seen here, it can't be a threat. So we'll go back to the community and see and continue to make our assessment, the blockages and the rest, and remove them, and give the people an ease of life.
Let's take a break, everyone, and when we return, it will be time for a first conversation. Please stay with us.
Information is power, information is security, information is knowledge. On Labor Lens, we believe that working people around the world have real questions of their own. They want to know how the world of work operates, what it means to the employer of labor, how policies affect workers in the workplace. On Labor Lens, I ensure we engage effectively the organized labor, organized private sector, and government to get out of them information workers are in need of. I am Sharon Ijason, asking questions that make you get sense of the workplace.
Welcome back, everyone. Tensions are rising in Ghana as protests under the banner Nigerians Must Go spark widespread concern and diplomatic unease. In response, the Nigerian Senate is urging calm and restraint, calling for measured dialogue and regional cooperation. The protests, reportedly fueled by growing local frustrations, have drawn criticisms from human rights groups and sparked anxiety within the Nigerian community in Ghana. Our conversation tonight looks into this latest developments, the Senate's reaction, and what this could mean for Nigeria-Ghana relations moving forward. Joining me for proper insights is former Nigerian ambassador to Burundi, Ambassador Elijah Onyegwe. Good evening to you, Ambassador. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. Thank you.
A very good evening to you, and thanks for having me.
Thank you. As a former ambassador, how do you interpret the significance of these protests from a diplomatic standpoint? what do you consider as the potential diplomatic repercussions if this sentiment against Nigerians in Ghana escalates further?
Oh, thank you so very much. The question is, how did we get here in the first instance? And what is the current status of things as relates to that? In fact, yesterday there was a widespread protest across Accra and some other cities of Ghana on the Nigeria Must Go, if you like, a replica of the same system that happened in 1983, where Nigerians using the same Ghana Must Go, at the time to also send back about 2 million Ghanaians back to Ghana. That obviously was the beginning of xenophobic activities within the West African region. This is what we are beginning to find at this particular point in time. And first of all, I think it's very, very disturbing. Disturbing in the sense that a lot of, first, between Nigeria and Ghana, we are like Siamese twins. Between Nigeria and Ghana, these are two strong economies within the ECOWAS sub-region. Between Nigeria and Ghana, over the years, we've always had a very good relations. In fact, I monitored the last elections in Ghana. I was in Accra for that elections. And part of, in trying to engage both the organizers of the commission that organized the election and the Nigerian diaspora, we actually found out that there's a good relationship between this present president, John Dramani, that won the election, and a lot of Nigerians in Ghana. So a lot of Nigerians in Ghana, even though they couldn't vote, campaigned heavily for this president. So we've had, long diplomatic relations. And in addition to that, it's also good to know that the Nigerian High Commission in Ghana is classified as a grade A mission, meaning that it's a mission that Nigeria takes very, very seriously. That's a grade A mission, So clearly, a lot of Nigerians live in Ghana. Very high
and
Nigerians
that's why this is surprising, Ambassador. And that's why many are surprised, because yes, we've seen similar tensions between Nigeria and other African nations. I mean, for example, for Nigeria-Ghana strained relationship, this is not the first time. Nigeria-Ghana tensions over trade evictions in 2019, 2020, where the Ghanaian authorities closed some shops owned by Nigerian traders. There was also, with South Africa, where Nigerian traders claimed, xenophobia and harassment. We've also had Nigeria-Equatorial Guinea tensions over mass deportations, where, Equatorial Guinea deported thousands of Nigerians. So the tensions have always been there. But with Ghana, we thought there was this inseparable bond. So for those who have said this is a spontaneous expression of local frustration, or would you interpret this as a retaliatory act against Nigerians?
Well, a couple of things. In my opinion, I think I get a sense of the local frustrations because we've seen this happen in South Africa and in quite a couple of other countries that you just mentioned, where economy is bad and people can't get jobs. They look around and turn to people and say that these are the kind of people that are causing problems for them, But let me analyze this issue of Ghana very specifically. I think that the influence of social media in this day and age is also a big problem for us right now, because I have followed this drama in the last 2-3 weeks. There's in Nigerian, there's a lot of issues that came up about somebody wanting to buy plots of land, and then a lot of people, media personalities, influencers are coming to say that Nigerians are in Ghana getting involved in cult activities, getting involved in all kinds of illegal deals, prostitutions, and all of this, So I also sense a case of, giving a dog a bad name in order to hang it, But again, this point must be made that Nigerians that are in diaspora must always and should always respect the culture and what is happening in the country where they are residents. Now, the ECOWAS protocol allows us to be able to move freely within the sub-region without any visa. I can actually go to Ghana with my passport and I'll be admitted into Ghana and I'll reside in Ghana. The ECOWAS protocol allows for free movement of people, goods, and services. So that sense, in that sense, there shouldn't actually be restriction, because the truth of the matter is that if this continues, you can also, you will not guarantee that similar thing will also not happen in Nigeria.
Right.
You understand, when we had the issues with this same issue with South Africa, a lot of ShopRite, shops were looted in Nigeria. People went there carting all kinds of things, even without knowing that the owners of these goods may even be Nigerians in the first instance. There were repercussion effects on South African-owned companies here in Nigeria. But the question is, what do we do? Because we must get involved in trying to find a way to de-escalate tensions. My understanding is that the Minister of State, Foreign Affairs, Her Excellency Ambassador Bianca, was in Ghana yesterday, meeting with Ghana police, trying to do all manner of things to be able to ensure that we de-escalate tension. Young people, again, in the public space, because I followed this on TikTok, on social media. Nigerians also needs to be able to de-escalate issues, because once we are throwing these banters back and forth, you just never know the extent to which it can go. When His Excellency Panikoro was the ambassador of Nigeria to Ghana, we also had this issue of, you get to the market, they shut down Nigerian shops, or they tell you some exorbitant amount of money you must pay before you're allowed to do business in Nigeria. This issue is a big issue for the African continent.
And
I believe that,
talking about ban trade, Ambassador, I thought both countries, talking about banking, I thought both countries understood when to banter and when to get serious. But from what you've said tonight, it looks like there have been subtle signs or undercurrent of resentment towards Nigerians in Ghana that might now be, manifesting publicly. But in your diplomatic experience, how common is it for nations to express foreign policy grievances through societal or grassroots actions like protests?
Well, we have these issues. Nigerians are generally people that are very confident of themselves anywhere they find themselves. If you go to South Africa, they have their own version of the story. They will tell you Nigerians are doing this and that to them. If you go to Kenya, they can even be discussing issues relating to Nigerian men, taking their women. If you go to Ghana, it's another kind of, issues. These issues will always be there within the African continent. Nigerian, naturally, wherever they are, feel that they can survive, they can do business, they can, hold their ground in so many ways. Sometimes this posturing is also passive manner from. It's important that we find a way to understand the culture, of the people of your host community, and try as much as possible to restore that culture or respect that culture as well. Because if you look at what has happened in the case of Ghana, there was a Nigerian that, called himself a king of the Igbos in Ghana, talked about buying a lot of plot of lands, and then he was going to have a kingdom in all of. Some of those things, if you actually interpret them, can be very, very offensive. And then, of course, he has done a video to say that this is actually, he did the video a long time ago. He actually doesn't have the land in question, but you see, the social media is a bit of a problem here, because nobody could even differentiate, because people are actually thinking that is reality, that is what is on ground. He's gone to, buy 250 plots of land in Ghana to be able to, move his kingdom to those locations and all of that. So some of this posturing can actually be interpreted as being offensive. It's important that we respect one another. It's important that once you get to a place, you can carry out your business, because there are a lot of Nigerians are doing legitimate businesses in Ghana, and you do not want those legitimate businesses to begin to suffer or get attacked on the account of someone's irresponsibility, on the account of a reckless.
And that's fair enough. That's fair enough, Ambassador. But if we're talking about de-escalating tension, some Nigerians say the delay by President Bola Tinubu in appointing ambassadors may contribute to Nigeria's weak diplomatic presence abroad, potentially leaving citizens more vulnerable and reducing Nigeria's influence. In situations like this, Nigerians must go protest in Ghana. But based on experience, how significant is the absence of formally appointed ambassadors in situations like this? Would you say the delay in appointing ambassadors is weakening Nigeria's ability to respond to diplomatic crisis swiftly and effectively?
Okay, first is that there are levels of representation. The president is the #1 foreign affairs minister, is the #1 chief marketing officer of this country. And then there are also representatives at the ministerial level where we have 2 ministers at this particular point in time. Again, the Nigerian embassies, 109 of them, embassies and high commissions and consulates across the world, are also equipped or staffed with the staff of foreign affairs. But yes, the fact that Nigerians do not, or Nigeria do not have an ambassador that are formally accredited to these countries will likely be an issue. And it's something I believe that over and over again, the presidency had talked about, the Minister of Foreign Affairs had talked about the fact that that will soon happen, but clearly there's a need to have ambassadors out there because some of these, some of this tension can easily be de-escalated once you have a representative that is formally accredited to a country, an ambassador extraordinary and plenipotentiary, accredited to a particular country who has met with the president. There can always be meeting at the highest level, even without the ministers getting involved. And of course, when it gets to the point where they need to get involved, they can easily get involved. And most importantly is, like I mentioned, the case of Ghana. Nigeria regards Ghana as one of the big missions we have outside Nigeria, so we have a defense, attaché in that place. We have the migrations. We have the full accompaniment of every representation in a diplomatic setting is in our mission in Ghana. And that goes to show how Nigeria takes Ghana. That goes to show the nature of relations and how serious this country takes Ghana. So I know that even at this point in time, there hasn't been some kind of official commentary from the government of Ghana on this issue. Yesterday, I know that the Minister of State Foreign Affairs met with the police in Ghana. I've also followed, people like Dele Momodu that has also lived in Ghana for a very long time. His commentary today, he was basically saying that these things are over-exaggerated. He's back to Ghana. He hasn't really seen so much of these things. But the way social media works, the moment you put out an information, it becomes a big issue. Everybody can react to it from wherever they are. But if you're on ground, maybe it may not be as serious as it looks. But what I see is that there's a need to actually have ambassadors out there because this issue, the issue with the United States, the issue with the UAE, there are quite a couple of things that are springing up internationally that I believe that ambassadors on ground can actually have, they can easily get to these issues, deal with them and find quick solutions and quick fixes, before things get out of hand.
The ECOWAS has also been silent. Would you say this exposes a gap in regional leadership or just diplomatic fatigue? I mean, for you to expatiate further on that, should ECOWAS be playing right? What role should ECOWAS be playing right now to de-escalate tensions and prevent further xenophobic incidents in the region? Does this also, this situation reflect a failure of ECOWAS principles on free movement and integration, which you talked about earlier? Should Nigerians be pushing for a special ECOWAS summit on migration protection and free movement?
Well, I think that at some point ECOWAS will come in. I think that, again, at this point in time, we must also differentiate between noise and the actual happenings on ground. Like I said, I know that there was a protest that happened yesterday, but in terms of whether that has resulted in destruction or further challenges, I'm not quite sure that is clear at this particular point in time. But I do expect ECOWAS to step in because every member nation of ECOWAS, I mean, it's not difficult. We don't need visa to go to Ghana. Ghanaians don't need visa to come into Nigeria. And same with other countries that are within the sub-region. So I am quite certain that they will step in when the need arises or when we get to that point. Quite a lot of Nigerians have reacted. The Senate have discussed this issue because I know the Senate Committee Chairman on Diaspora and on Diaspora have actually stepped in. I also know the in the Diaspora Commission, the NIDCOM, headed by Honorable Abike, Abike has also, stepped in to find a way to de-escalate tension. But, the truth must be told, ECOWAS must also, the leadership of ECOWAS must also step up at this particular point in time because we seem to be moving backwards instead of actually moving forward. And this can also be as a result of misrepresentation of facts. You know, these are the dangers that the social media can actually cause, and the cause of, you know,
Ambassador, are these
yes.
responses adequately enough, you know, given the potential risk to Nigerians abroad? What additional steps would you recommend the Nigeria government take to protect its citizens in Ghana beyond urging calm?
Well, what I know at this point in time is that the minister met with the police of Ghana. That's the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of State Foreign Affairs met with the police chief in Ghana yesterday. He got into Ghana. He obviously met, and I'm sure there must have been series of other meetings that she would have had. I'm not even sure she's back to the country yet. You know, I think government is responding, and I believe that the essence of this is to find the diplomatic solution. And I'm also sure that you know, the Nigerian in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, is also keeping tab of what is going on. Where there is need to get people out of the country, I'm sure Nigerian government will respond. We've not just done that for Nigeria, we've also done that for other African countries, because take, for example, when there was this Ukraine-Russia war, quite a lot of other African countries were depending on Nigeria to help them evacuate their citizens from Ukraine. And we did that actually for other countries. So I don't think it's a problem yet why Nigerians, you know, if it comes to that point, you know, but it's about protecting businesses. It's about protecting the lives and properties of people as well, because there are, for every one person that may be doing the wrong business in Ghana, there are quite 100 of other Nigerians that are also doing legitimate businesses in Ghana. You know, ECOWAS, for example, may also have a representative office there where Nigerians are working, and there are other companies of, you know, look at the banking industry, for example, the financial sector. Most of Nigerian banks are in Ghana. Zenith is there, UBA is there, Access Bank is there. These are Nigerian-owned businesses that are actually contributing to the growth of the economy of Ghana as well. So there must actually be, from the government's perspective, there has to be you know, a strategy that is a bit much more robust to ensure that things don't get out of hand. As at the moment, I think it's under control, but where you have a representation of a president in the form of a minister, you know, presence in Ghana at this particular point in time will help a lot in trying to de-escalate.
And you also talked about why it is important for Nigerians to respect their host countries. So what should individuals do right now to stay safe? And what signals should the Ghanaian government be sending to assure them?
Well, I honestly, that point can't be, you know, overemphasized. Nigerians out of the country must try to, you know, live within the laws of the country that they are in, of their host community. Look at the culture. Look at, there's so many things that, you know, happen in countries where we reside. So you don't just go with your business, go with your way of life and try to impose them on the people. Sometimes this can be very offensive, like I mentioned earlier. I think that Nigerians should actually focus on the things that brought them to the country, you know, without overstepping their boundaries. And if you're in a country to do business, do that business legitimately and respectfully, you know, so you don't, you know, you don't begin to go out of line. You know, you know, if you're a Nigerian, imagine, you know, you being a Nigerian and somebody just walks into Lagos from Ghana or from another country and he says that maybe a South African, for example, saying he has to build a Zulu village somewhere. You know, the question will be how do you exactly want to do that? So some of the things we will not tolerate. I think it's important that we try as much as possible to ensure that we do not get to do that to other people, you know, other citizens of other countries. Yes.
All right then, Ambassador Elijah Oyegba, former Nigerian ambassador to Burundi, thank you so much for speaking with us tonight. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. It's my pleasure being on this.
Thank you very much for watching, everyone. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But before we go, let's tell you that the views and reactions of our resource persons are theirs and have no connection with TVC News. Meanwhile, you can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode at 12:30 a.m. Get in touch with us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and X at TVC News NG and at Olajumo KWO using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News NG. I am Olajumo KWO. Good night, everyone. I'll see you again tomorrow.